So what were you saying about some of the things that you observed over the year?
Well, just through the year, just seeing how the kids have developed in a program, in a place where they find security, and in a place where they have something to look forward to, something to work at, and they have challenges. They know there are challenges, but there's always a consistent base for them to come back to. They know that the love and the family that they have here with us is something secure, and so that in itself just allows them to flourish. And in a culture where we see that there is just so much of a cycle of poverty, a cycle of dependency, a cycle of begging, and always having to get as much as you can out of every situation, and never projecting yourself, and learning to actually take on life in your own hands and do it on your own. We just see the importance of working with children, and how, like, if anything breaking that cycle, and if anything is going to change, it has to start with them, when they're still moldable, when they're still teachable in that sense. And so this year we've been able to see kids through different projects. They've been able to learn, just mature in so many different ways of being helpers, being willing to just come and start opening their eyes towards being helpers and serving others, even in that area. Not always asking and wanting from everybody, but just being able to be healthy in their relationships with people here too, and even in their health. Like, we've had kids that have basically completely, like, their viral load is undetectable, and their defenses are normal. They've been able to go and get involved in sports and get involved in school more, and just they've been so blessed. I mean, there's such stability here.
So how many kids do you have that come on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, around 10.
And those are the ones where you notice the biggest difference?
Yeah. We have one kid, for example, when we get to know them on a regular basis too, we know what they're aiming for in the future too. So, for example, one of our kids, he wants to be physiotherapist. And so just yesterday, actually, we got one of our people that is involved in the program here. He is a physiotherapist, and he is coming now and training our kid to certain techniques, and to help him to see what is actually involved. But it gives him that something to aim for in the future, and it's not just like working on the streets again, or trying to scrounge for something to live off of. But he's actually saying, okay, there's a hope. I can actually aim for something real.
And wasn't that exactly Franco?
Franco.
So you had talked about the guy who lost his job.
That's
right?
Jose. That's a different boy. And with him, we're allowing him to. I told his mom.
So hold on. Let's go back to Franco now. Franco. You also talked about Franco in the letter, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He was the guy who.
He lives only with his mom. His mom is HIV and in a very critical state, where he's had to basically take care of her all year long already.
So he's being basically the head of the household, and feeling the weight of the responsibility and all that.
The weight of the responsibility, as well as also the reality of his father never having recognized him, never having acknowledged his existence, basically, and having a lot of pressure always put on him, as far as that he has to be, he has to be responsible at home.
He's 13?
He's 13.
And he was the guy who came in and was all depressed and didn't want to live anymore. And
one of the many, and just didn't know what to do with his life anymore, because he just felt so much pressure with his mom always being, wanting more from him, and never being satisfied with what he was doing, and never being happy with what, he was always being rebellious at home. But basically it was because he wasn't always cleaning, he wasn't always getting perfect grades, he wasn't getting, all of the responsibilities at home were always on him. And it had a lot to do with her feeling very incapable of being able to do anything at home. She told me one time with tears in her eyes that she would be like, okay, I have to get up and I have to fight for my son, I want to give him the best. And she would walk and she would get to the stairs, and she was so weak, she would get to the stairs and she would have to go back to her bed again, because she just couldn't couldn't do anything. She's skin and bones, and so her own weaknesses were working on her more than anything. But then she would put it all on her son in the final end too. So it's a cycle of.
So now, and you found out that he's interested in physiotherapy.
He dreams of being a physiotherapist one day, and he does a lot of massages on his mom, and he does with different people here too. So
So now, is he going to be doing that Is he going to be doing what he's learning? Is he going to be doing that?
He's going to be working every Monday. They now set up a schedule yesterday. Every Monday, the guy's going to come in and train him with different patients that come in for a session with the professional.
Okay.
And then they're going to be working together. He's going to be teaching him different techniques. He's going to be allowing him to practice. And then what we want to get to in January is that, again, we want to start up this project of administrating money. And one of his specific tasks is going to be that he is to start working with people and start giving his own massages, and then he gets patients or clients here in Dulce Refugio.
Starts getting paid for that.
Yeah, and then he's going to start paid for that here, like through that system too.
Very cool.
So then he has something to motivate him as well.
And you were saying about Jose?
And Jose was the guy that was working. He was working in a tennis club.
Okay.
He was the one that always gathered balls for everybody, and he had an extremely very good report from his boss about how responsible he was, how respectful he was. That they don't have very many kids at all like that working, but because he's too young yet, they had to, because of legal issues, tell him he can't work till he has 6 months until he turns 14 in July. Then they can allow him to start again. But he got all depressed because he lost his job, and he again is the man of the house. His mom is a single mom, HIV, and then he has 2 sisters yet, and so he was basically the one that was bringing in money at home for them to live off of. And so now he lost that job, so he got all depressed. But I encouraged his mom and I encouraged him that these 6 months would be a time where he could learn other skills, and where he could start helping out in different chores here in Dulce Refugio. And yesterday exactly, also he started working on the computer, and one of our volunteers started teaching him how to type, and different things like that, tasks where we can teach him responsibility, where they can. The other day I asked him to come and help in housework, yard work at home, and just getting him to, there are other options, there are other things that he can be doing in the meantime to prepare himself. I told him, like after you turn 14, you're going to start working. I said the next 80 years of your life, or whatever, 70, 60 years. I said you're going to be working. So enjoy these 6 months and learn what you can now. But he was very motivated with these little things that we can be giving him here now.
So he's learning how to type, or he's learning what?
Learning how to type, learning how to use the computer. And next year we also want to get a teacher in also that can be also maybe teaching him little things like English is another thing that is very valuable here. People that are at least in the process or have a basis of English. There's ways that we want to try to see if they can get more involved in other things. But computer at least is something a lot more
general use.
General use that can be very helpful for them. So.